There are some moments which can seem to be staging posts in any enterprise, and an inquiry is one of those. This, in a sense, is a staging post, because with the evidence of Tony, we have finished our evidence here, and Cardiff is the last of the centres outside London which we shall be visiting to take evidence from those who are infected and affected. So this marks, as it were, the end of that period. It is not the end, however, of our taking evidence from those who are infected or affected. Far from it. It is vital, I think, that we go on doing that as much as time permits. We don't have the luxury of much time. You will have seen that reflected in some of the evidence throughout this week, and even today we've been reminded that every 4 days somebody will die. And those are the people we know about, and we may not know about all those who have suffered from hepatitis C, because they may not know themselves that they do. So it's worth reflecting on. But you will have seen, I think, and I speak not only to you, although there is a large audience here, but also to those who may be watching online, who may have attended the sessions in Belfast or in Leeds or in Edinburgh, as well as those in London. You will have seen, I hope, the value that has come first from bringing the inquiry out of London. It's where it belongs. It is a UK-wide inquiry, and I take that seriously. But out of London, because each of the different parts of the UK has a slightly different perspective. And some of you, I know, have followed the inquiry round and been present at a number of the hearings, and you'll have seen that. The stories are very much the same. The similarities are much greater than the differences, but there are some differences. And now perhaps is a time for me, at any rate, to reflect on some of those. But you'll also have seen that there has emerged throughout, concentrating on the similarities, many themes which witness after witness after witness repeats. And the more that they are repeated by witnesses, giving their testimony honestly, the more difficult it becomes to ignore what those themes are. And the themes you will have picked up are themes which relate, and I put it very broadly, for obvious reasons, to consent, to communication, to delay in informing people of a diagnosis which was known about by medics, to the way in which people were treated by others, or thought they would be, stigma, all these general accounts, and the advantage of having a number of witness statements and witness testimonies supporting those statements is that you begin to get a very clear and consistent picture. There are also parts of people's accounts which are individual and can only ever be individual because of their remarkable nature. But they may themselves, if there are enough such accounts, begin to paint a picture of their own. And I'm thinking here about the sorts of correspondence which sometimes has emerged from those bodies which are set up to care for and support people who are in need, and use words which suggest that the heart of those administering the scheme may not be where it should be. And I think of examples, and yesterday's example was not the only one. I'm thinking here of the experience of the Smiths, in which we have heard evidence, obviously highly individual in that case, but not the only example of highly individual stigmatization, where it may seem that we are in danger of becoming a society in which, instead of sympathizing with and offering a caring hand to somebody whose child is seriously ill, our hands instead reach for the spray can of abuse. The reason I mention these individual accounts is that I am quite sure that there may yet be more which will emerge, and we have not finished taking evidence from those who would wish to give it. Far from it. Our next hearing will be in London. It will be on the 8th of October and again on the 15th of October. Those dates have already been announced. But I can tell you that so important have we found the evidence to emerge from the hearings here, and also so great has been the number of witness statements received and promised. Those people who have contacted the inquiry to tell us they wish to give a witness statement, the number is approaching and about 3,000. We haven't yet got that number of witness statements. It's less than 2,000, but moving upwards. But it shows how many more statements will come through. And there is, I suspect, still a number of people who would wish to give witness statements. Every witness statement will be read. Every witness statement is individual. Every witness statement is important. Every witness statement paints a picture, or helps to paint a picture, or confirm the picture that others have painted. And so each has a real value. And some may have those little snippets, those little pictures, which may tug at the heartstrings, or horrify, or illuminate, or praise some medical services that have been received, whatever they may be, but all of which is important in painting an accurate and whole picture, without which any report I produce will be the less convincing. And so we have this third week of witness evidence arranged for October, which will begin on the 29th of October until the 1st of November. So if you ask, where do we go from here? The answer is there'll be a break. It is, after all, the summer, but our work will go on during most of that. We will meet again to hear witness evidence on the 8th of October, the weeks of the 8th, the 15th, not the half-term week for obvious reasons, but the 29th of October as a third and additional week. We have not yet finalized the witness lists, those who will give evidence in London. So anyone who wishes to make a statement and whose statement is received will be considered for the possibility of giving evidence orally. But let it be said that giving evidence orally does not necessarily mean that that evidence is of greater importance. Every piece of written evidence is important. Every piece tells a story. Every piece is taken into account. For those who do not feel able to make a witness statement, it may look easy sitting up there. I don't think anyone who's given evidence would say that it is actually easy, even though they may have looked as though it was. We do our best to make it as easy for the witness as we can, but I suspect it is still difficult. And it seems to me, if I can just say, it takes huge courage, actually, to condense a lifetime of suffering, largely, and everything that's happened into about an hour of testimony. It is actually, if you think about it, it is a hugely difficult task, and it is likely to stretch the emotions for anyone, let alone do it when there has been the threat throughout the 70s, 80s, 90s, at least, if not later, of stigma, the reactions of others to what is not the fault of the person suffering. It makes it very difficult. I take my hat off to those who've given evidence. I do admire them, and I don't expect that it will necessarily be easy for everyone. Anyone who makes a witness statement must be prepared, if asked to give witness evidence. I have to say that if they don't want to give evidence, it's unlikely that we'll ask them to do so unless there's a very, very special reason for it. But there may be people who can't even bring themselves to make a witness statement. Can I remind them that they can speak to an intermediary who will not identify them? They will not then be at any risk at all of anyone knowing who they are, but they can tell their story to somebody who will then relay the collective experience of the people who have spoken to that person to us as a proper professional, and that will take place during the October sessions or in our November sessions. I'll come to those in a moment. But the important thing that I'm encouraging by speaking to you here, I'm really preaching to the outside world, is that if you feel that you might wish to add to the knowledge that we have to help us to paint the complete picture, do not feel that your account is unimportant. It isn't. If it is similar to accounts which have been heard, that doesn't mean to say it is of no value. It is of great value because it actually supports and confirms what has been said. And we would like to hear it. And every witness statement will be read. For those who have listened to the testimony here in Wales, you may have been very moved by a lot of what you've heard. It may resonate with what you yourselves have been through. Can I remind you that if, when you go away from home, away from the collective comfort of this hall, and if you feel that some of the aspects of the testimony are troubling you, be reminded that there is the Red Cross helpline, which is available, and that through it you may get access to counselling should you need it. Please don't feel that you have to bear the burdens of what you've listened to on your own, because you don't. Can I then come back to what I was going to say about the future progress of the inquiry, just so that you know? I'm not going to spend too long on this, but in November, on the Thursday the 21st and Friday the 22nd of November, and the following week, Tuesday the 26th, Wednesday the 27th, and Thursday the 28th, we will be taking some evidence from our experts. It'll be two parts. One will reflect, as we will be reflecting on what we've been hearing over these first 3 months and in October too, about the impact on people infected and affected from our experts on the psychosocial aspects. And then we will be asking our clinicians to begin to set the stage for what will follow later. They'll be talking about current clinical knowledge about haemophilia, about other blood and bleeding disorders, and primary immunodeficiencies. And the others will be speaking about the current clinical knowledge of hepatitis and HIV, and current and past treatments for hepatitis and HIV and their consequences. That will help to set the stage for what will then follow after a necessary break later next year. I should say that you'll understand fully that we want to be as prepared as we can be as an inquiry for the evidence which will follow then, which will explore from others of what happened and why, those people who took decisions, those people who may have questions to answer, And examples of the sorts of material which they may have to deal with are things such as the email exchange, which you heard earlier today. These things come out, and they come out sometimes slowly. We want to make sure we have as much of that as possible. So you'll understand why there will be a break. It's not that we're not working. We are, even though the working may not be as visible as it is today or as it will be in October. But it remains then for me to repeat really what I've already said. I want to pay tribute to those who've given evidence and those who've been here to support them, which has enabled them to give evidence in the way that they have and to inform me. And I am most grateful that my eyes continue to be opened. Sometimes when you think that you can't see anymore, you realize there is much more to be seen. And with that, can I thank you for being here and wish you a safe journey home, particularly if you're traveling any distance today on heat-affected rails.